The Whitney Biennial is a laboratory. It's a place for experimentation, for asking hard questions. It's a place where you can test new ideas, new approaches to art, new approaches to exhibition making.
The Whitney Biennial is a biannual survey of American art that happens in the Whitney Museum every 2 years.
This is the 81st edition, and part of what Chrissie and I understand is that this is part of a long exhibition history, thinking with artists about what is contemporary American art today, and what are the pressing ideas that artists are addressing in the moment.
The process of talking with the artists and listening to what they're thinking about, how they're making work, and also the world around them, really formed the texture of the exhibition and the themes that we wanted to develop.
A lot of the artists were having conversations about the connection between the body and the psyche.
There's a really strong engagement with ideas of how the self is understood within the world at a very precarious moment.
What were the challenges of being consumed, of being seen?
We also noticed in the studio the way in which artists are thinking about the psychological implications of architectural space, the idea of materiality, and our sense of unease in the world in relation to systems of power.
We also were thinking about what does it mean for the Whitney to be a museum of American art? What does it mean to be framed or impacted by America?
The Whitney Biennial is not merely reflecting what's happening in a culture, it's also in the business of creating a counter-imagery.
The Whitney Biennial, for me, is a moment to engage with work that challenges me, that causes me to sit in a place of consideration and reflection.
There's so many resonant connections that I couldn't understand until I walked through the galleries, thinking about gravity and suspension, bodily autonomy, loss. I felt all of these invisible lines that I couldn't have otherwise anticipated, even knowing a lot of these artist practices.
Every work that you see in here, every work that's embedded in the American art canon, in this historical record, is a time machine. It's drawing from inspiration from our past. It's in communication with relatives and ancestors and cultures that we've been exposed to, presenting it in our present in order to communicate to our future.
It's aspirational. We're imagining the world we want to live in, and it's on display in this place that has such a public life. How do they meld these works that are so disparate, but they find a way to be in conversation?
Feels electric to have this many artists together, where people are creating in such a powerful flow.
Artists don't only show us the world, they reinvent it. And they show us how the world can be understood in different ways. And also seeing different ways that artists think about living and loving and being in the world is something that is inspiring and that points to different possibilities for the future. And that is what the show is about.
I think we set a conversation for New York that really expands far beyond this place. This is a show for anyone who cares about contemporary culture, about what it means to be alive in 2024.
I think people come to the Whitney Biennial hoping to see a reflection of our times in order to understand themselves better, but also what is happening around them, way beyond the museum.
This will be a part of a historical representation of art in the 21st century, but recognize that as audience, you're participating in its creation.
We wanted to think about kind of the different ways that you could be in space and the types of sensations that you can find and feel within a museum. The Whitney Biennial is even better than the real thing.